Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Tyria Now channel. Welcome Miko as well to the premiere episode of our new show.
Yeah, thanks, Aaron. It's good to be here. Good to be back.
Kind of a new show, kind of an old show.
Yeah, this is
Uh,
how we
we
roll.
we are in the light of the Guild Wars 3 announcement from ArenaNet. We are rebooting the Tyria Now uh discussion show. This show used to be a Guild Wars 2 weekly news podcast that we did back in the Ice Brood Saga times, I want
Yeah,
to
and
say.
prior to that, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
like Living World season 4 era, so like
Mhm.
2018, 2019,
Yes.
around about that time.
Yep.
We stopped doing the show because it was very time consuming to keep up with, like, patch notes and just the news things that were happening for the game. Um, we are kind of rebranding it a little bit. This is going to be less of a news show and more of a open-ended, what's going on with the Guild Wars franchise right now? What things do we wanna talk about? What things do we like? What things are we finding exciting? And then, as we get comments, taking comments and kind of using those to springboard for discussions about the Guild Wars franchise as well. So it's kind of just a hodgepodge, everything current in Guild Wars freeform discussion show.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, how are you feeling about the Guild Wars 3 announcement, Miko?
I'm actually pretty excited. I wasn't sure where they were gonna go. I thought it would be a sequel to Guild Wars 2. Um, and I'm kinda jazzed by the idea that they're going backwards in time in Tyrian timeline. And giving us a look at how things originated. All of this lore that we've, been through Guild Wars 1 and Guild Wars 2. And I know that, both of you and I, we stepped away from Guild Wars 2 over the past few years, but there's still stuff that we are interested in. That's why we're currently playing through Guild Wars 1 in Tyria then um, to talk about that story. So this just feels like a real cool payoff for, two nerds like us who like talk about the story all the time.
It does. Yeah, it feels very rewarding to be a Guild Wars fan right now. Um, Even though I haven't been really engaging with Guild Wars 2 for many years now,
Mhm.
I still am a very big fan of the world of Tyria. Maybe not so big of a fan of, like, the gem store,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
I love the world.
Yes.
I really do like Guild Wars 2, the way the gameplay works and the
Huh.
beautiful world. Didn't resonate with, like, kind of the later story beats so much,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Not to say they are bad, but they didn't quite resonate with me.
Yeah.
Um, that being said, I really love the story in Guild Wars 1. If you guys have been listening to Tyria then at all, you know that we're, like, uh, we're pretty happy to talk about the game every episode. Um, so we still very much enjoy the world of Tyria, and I'm really excited to dive into a new Guild Wars title. Um a lot of people you mentioned the prequel angle, so when they announced this, they were straight up about the fact that this is going to be a many years in the past prequel. We're talking 1200 pre-Guild Wars 1,
Yeah.
1450 pre-Guild Wars 2,
Right.
which should put this somewhere around 125. I believe BE is the term they use for.
Yes, before the Exodus.
Yeah, I did some perusing of the wiki before this. I haven't watched any of the big timeline videos, but I took a scroll through the old timeline there
Mhm.
on the Guild Wars wiki,
Yeah.
and, I think that's right about the pocket of time that this takes place in, post, like, right after Grenth taking over for Doom.
Mhm.
um, Abaddon is still in the picture. Magic does not freely exist with the races. All the drama with the Bloodstones hasn't happened yet, right?
Right.
Um, they put out a new video today about how magic is almost commodified in this world.
Yeah, I found
Uh,
that really interesting
yeah,
because it's like the currency, the big power currency. And how did the gods finally decide, all right, you know what? We've got to release this. into the wild, so to speak. We don't know. We don't well, we don't know yet. By the time we come around into Guild Wars 1, like, magic is everywhere, um, and people just use it into these different classes that we play and the different spells that we walk around with. So this being pre that, like, how are the people that live in Ore going to, um what are they doing to defend themselves? What are they doing to, help their lives just kind of run along? I know
Right.
that the trailer mentioned a connection with nature and spirits, which sounds really cool. It reminded me of, like, Canthan magic, the Ritualists, the Kodan, and the
Their idea
Norn.
of balance.
Right, and the Norn and their connection with the spirits of the wild. So, are we gonna get to see any of that? I mean, if it's a like, a certain technology like we see in Guild Wars 1 and Guild Wars 2, um, what's that gonna look like?
Yeah, and I'm not too deeply familiar with the lore the way some people are.
Mhm.
As far as I'm aware, Abaddon is the one who eventually does end up releasing magic to the races of Tyria in general, but there's more to it than that, right?
Right.
And we don't have all the details of like what the ramp up to that moment is.
Mhm.
Maybe it's a political movement, right? Like, the gods
Yeah.
live on the face of Tyria, some of them in ore at this point.
Yeah.
Maybe what are the politics surrounding the gods? How does religion play into the political landscape of ore and the greater Tyria, right?
Mhm.
Um, who's this King Doric guy? What's up with him?
Right.
Um, so, if you've ever hung out, outside Fort Rannoch and read about King Doric, there are a lot of questions that can be answered outside of the basic facts that are established in the timeline of the game. Um, I'm a big prequel guy. I love a good prequel.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't like prequels, with the main complaint of, "Well, if I know what happens, what's the point?"
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
But I'm a guy who loves the details, and
Mhm.
that's what prequels are all about, is fleshing out a universe and providing you with details and putting, things you only imagined before to actual, like, giving them manifesting them, I think is the term I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Um, but, I love a prequel. Like, whenever a franchise I like comes out with a prequel, I'm always all for it.
Yeah.
They did say that there is going to be a huge emphasis on movement, in this game.
Yes.
How do you feel about that?
I think they were kind of it fits with where they've been. I mean, we talked about this when the announcements were finally just landed, and you look at what they were doing with different specializations or different,
Masteries?
masteries, thank you. The different masteries on movement, and, it feels like that has an origin, like, even if they're trying to, like, "Let's retcon this," into, like,
Mhm.
giving people a reason, like, why this movement stuff exists in Tyria. I don't care, it's fine, it's cool. The trailer showed a guy riding a mount, so,
Mhm.
that's good. Arena developed some pretty cool technology for mounts, in my opinion. Um, and then,
That's been mirrored by some other games. I know
exactly,
the
yeah.
Dragonflight system in World of
Mhm.
Warcraft is
Yeah.
eerily similar to, the sky scale and griffin flying in
Right,
Guild Wars.
exactly, and running up walls, I
Yeah.
mean, that's cool. So they didn't show flying,
You know there'll be
but
flying.
they're yeah, I mean, like, they've got the tech for it, just like, "Come on, guys."
Yeah. Yeah, no, if we've got flying in Guild Wars 2, it'll definitely be in Guild Wars 3. ArenaNet is it's like you said, this really checks out with who ArenaNet is as a developer. They've not made it a secret that they are absolutely obsessed with bringing movement to the player base.
Yeah,
And I love the things they do with movement. Like, I'll fly my sky scale all day, right?
yeah.
That thing fucking rips. I love the sky scale.
Yeah.
And it's funny because when the sky scale came out, I think you probably remember I was whining about it because it was
You
hard
were
to get.
whining about it, yes, I
Uh,
remember.
and now it's probably the best thing they ever added to that game.
Yeah, you're like, "I don't write
Um,
anything else." I remember you saying that.
Yeah, no, so I have full trust in them to make a bunch of awesome mounts that are gonna be absolutely killer to play around with. There
Mhm.
is a flying axolotl in the trailer, did you see this?
Are you talking about, like, the dragony looking thing?
Yeah, I thought it was very clearly an axolotl.
So I thought I thought I thought there was one thing in there flying around that looked like a dragon, it kinda looked like Orion.
Mhm.
Yeah, that, and so one of the videos that I watched today was, Wooden Potatoes' timeline video, and he started going on about, how Glint is probably gonna be around, and if that's the case, is she looking like Aurene? And I'm like, "Oh
My
oh,
man's already going down the rabbit hole.
oh yeah, it's great." But even in, like, the trailer itself, like, you see before you see the animation of, like, in-game gameplay, um, they're weaving the threads in that tapestry, and they have an Aurene thing, looking
The tapestry thread animating is real cool
is
too.
really cool, and when I was watching it initially, I was like, "Okay, so this is Guild War." I'm like, "Okay, this looks like it's Guild Wars 3," before they actually, like, announced that it was Guild Wars 3 because I was watching it on the, Summer Game Fest live
Something about
stream.
the narration, I was like, "This is the most Guild Wars ass,
Right?
like,
I know, and I was
opening
like
narration I've ever
and then I
heard."
was like, "Oh, look, it's Aurene," and I was like, "Oh, they're taking us through, like, a history of Tyria."
Mhm.
And then they're like, Guild Wars 3 set, in ore, and I was like, "What?
And
Wait, where
I
are
mean
we
that
going here? Colin? Where are we going?"
yeah, and I mean that in a good way too, like, the
Yeah.
most Guild Wars ass intro I've ever heard in a very good way. I
Oh,
had a
yeah.
big old smile on my face,
Yeah, for sure,
as
for
that
sure.
opened up. The tapestry animation reminded me a lot of the Game of Thrones, intro,
Yeah.
how, like, the city raises up on, like, a game board in that show.
Mhm. Yeah.
Very similar thing with the kind of tapestry of fate aesthetic in this trailer. Cool,
Mhm.
cool trailer.
Yes.
Um, what Miko, what's a Veil Warden? What is that?
So the Veil Wardens, are apparently a guild. Bobby Stein called them the Order of the Veil, and they're the oldest guild in Ore, apparently. And they are, struggling right now to reclaim their prominence, is how Bobby Stein described it in the video that they released today, with the setting of ancient Ore. And it sounds like that they're just tired. They have a lot of ground to cover and people that keep turning to them for protection, for help, and they just don't have enough manpower. And so it sounds like they're just really stretched thin. And I wonder if they have access to magic since they're the oldest guild in Ore, but if they're struggling to reclaim their prominence, it kind of sounds like they may have fallen out of favor with the gods, but not so much with the people, if that makes sense.
And this is the thing I'm so curious about to get into this game about is what does this world look like where the gods exist among us, right?
Mhm.
Where magic is given rather jealously by the gods, right?
Yeah,
And the average person can't just like chuck a fireball, right?
right.
Bobby in the video describes magic as like like a restricted resource.
Mhm.
What does that world look like? You
Right.
know, how is magic bought and sold? What are the rules? Um, what are these? So the Veil Wardens are like a beleaguered guild. What are they warding against? What are the
Right.
foes? What are the woes? What are the struggles of the time period? What are we
Mhm.
dealing with? Right.
Yeah.
I'm super curious about all of that. Some of our more knowledgeable lore heads in the comments might be able to fill me in a little bit as well. But, yeah, I'm super curious to get into 1,200 years ago Tyria and check out what ore looked like at its peak, right? Because 'Cause we've
Yeah.
seen a little I wanna say in the ore, dungeon in Guild Wars 2, I think some of the
Mhm.
cutscenes have, like, some snapshots of old ore,
Mhm.
but, like, in a watercolor kinda way, right?
Right. Right.
Not in a, "I'm looking at ore," you know?
Right.
So, and the ruins of ore in Guild Wars 2 are like a monolithic, really
Mhm.
impressive, like, "This is an ancient wonder of the world" type shit, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
and walking among the pristine version of that is going to be a real treat for anyone who's been with this franchise and wondered about Ore, especially if you played Guild Wars 1 and you saw that, section of your map that you knew was Ore, but that we could never go to.
Right.
Um, yeah, it's gonna be mind-blowing being able to wander into that and explore.
Yeah.
Uh,
And not get attacked by Risen
right, yeah.
everywhere.
That's the thing about Ore in Guild Wars 2 is it's very beautiful in some sections, but it's like I'd say like it's 60% dour and depressing.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so it's gonna be really cool to see it beautiful. At the end of the trailer, the characters kind of look out over what looks like a utterly fantastical city that looks like almost alien in its
Yeah.
presentation.
Yeah.
And, that's a great mystery to kinda close the trailer on, is like, what is that what we're looking at? Or right there with that big, like, crisscross, swirly, um, structure. I wouldn't even call it a building, right?
Yeah.
And then kind of just like a magical landscape extending into the beyond. Uh,
Mhm.
it it's exciting stuff. It's exciting stuff.
Yeah, Bobby had kind of talked about it being this large and visible white, shining city that kind of overlooks all of the land, and,
Right.
I when as he described it, and then they kind of cut to one of their, like, still concept art pieces, it just reminded me of the descriptions of Gondor in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Um, which, that same kind of vibe, like a city that was beautiful and, this is at its peak, like you said, before it fell on hard times and, was destroyed.
Yeah, I get like a Mount Olympus, like a Greek mythology kind of
Mhm.
vibe,
Yeah.
like the writers are sitting in the writers' room imagining like, "Okay, what does religion actually look like, in like a Greek mythology context if it's real
Mhm.
and the
Mhm.
gods live in this god city and you can, like, go wait in line to talk to them," you know?
Yeah.
Does that exist? Probably not, right? I doubt Balthazar is, like, taking appointments, but
You never
you
know.
know you can go, like you could probably go, like, talk to a priest or something, and that
Right.
priest once a year might actually be in the same room with Balthazar, who knows?
Mhm.
That's the kinda stuff I'm really curious about.
Yeah.
Um, you mentioned to me that you'd heard
Mhm.
somewhere something about the possibility of Sylvari existing in this game.
Yeah, I think WP talked about it because of, um the description of Melandru gifting people with magic and with the charging them with the protection of the land, that description, which is on the Guild Wars wiki,
Mhm,
um, is very reminiscent of how she even just appears from a tree,
mhm,
blossoms from a tree, and how, the blood is described as sap. So very kind of just reminiscent of Sylvari, and how they came to be.
mhm,
Um, so, and that's something, we can get the comments, I'm sure, from any existing Guild Wars 2 players. Like we said, we're not current on the current expansions. But what is what do we know about the Sylvari's origins now? We know we've got some hints. We know about the tree. We know about Ventari, and going in back to Guild Wars 1. But why I've never bought into the fact that or the idea that the Sylvari just sprang out of Ventari's goodness and a seed. Like, that seed was around, Ventari kinda nurtured it, but that was around for a while. So that idea of the Sylvari connecting back to Melandru all the way back really intrigues me as a possibility. I kinda hope that they go there, especially with this emphasis on nature-based magic. Like, if people are out there, in ore and they don't have access to the magic that's seeping out of the sleeping dragons, um, how what are they finding other ways to kind of not skirt, but just connect with the land? And connecting with the land through Melandru, I think, just makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and I might be mistaken. What I got out of the Heart of Thorns expansion was that the Sylvari were born from Mordramoth.
Right, well, right, the dragon, but that dragon's gotta have a connection into the land, right? Because he was
Mhm.
sleeping,
Okay.
and so if he's sleeping and he's, the thorns are coming out, he
Leaking, like, 'cause they
leaking.
leak magic. Leaking is an icky word to use this.
Yeah,
They
but
are bleeding magic,
but
as
if
they say.
Melandra was able to tap into something and maybe nurture that in a
Mhm.
more I don't wanna say positive, negative, but, the dragons, poor things, they kinda get a bad rap
Mhm.
of, like, always just being connoted as negative, and power hungry or magic hungry, and maybe they just want a snack, maybe they're just hangry, but
I
that
think
idea
where
of, like, Melandru trying to cultivate this into something not destructive.
I think I think you hit the nail on the head. I think, elder dragons bring the term hangry to its inevitable conclusion. Uh,
Yeah.
I think they are the alpha and the omega of hangry.
Yeah,
Um,
they just
I
want a hamburger of magic, a magic burger.
Yes, a ham magic. Um, because they did show in the teaser, I wanna say you see a human in a Kodan, which is
Mhm.
cool. Everybody wants to play a Kodan, so
Right.
that's a great choice.
Yes.
Um, I think we see a Char in there.
Yeah, the chart, yes, the chart are they're woven into the tapestry, I
Mm.
wanna say. It's if
Oh,
they're not char, they're, something that looks like, I don't know, trollish, but they might have got some arrows in them. I was trying to figure out, what that might be. But there's something that looked like char, and char should be around, I think. I'm kind of buying into that idea that at this point in time, like before, if Wooden Potatoes is right in his timeline, that this could be around the time when Ascalon is maybe settled. That means that the Char lands, which were Ascalon, I mean that kind of is the underpinning on why they're pissed off and they go and do the searing. Um, if the Char were evicted or ejected or just taken out, like, they've gotta be around, right?
yeah, I'm looking at the timeline now. 100 BE is when,
Mhm.
human settlements, enter into Ascalon and they drive the Char out, so the Char definitely exist in this period, because my quick math shows this as anywhere between, like, 100 and 125 BE.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So humans are in Ascalon and the Char do exist in the game at this point,
Right.
so, totally possible. Uh,
Mhm.
but it is interesting. I brought up the Sylvari because you had mentioned it to me before the show, and I know there's a lot of people who are not gonna be too happy that they can't play a Sylvari in this game, so based on what we know right now, right?
Right.
Um, I also thought, ArenaNet kind of has a broad history of including plant-based both monsters and, like, just sentient creatures in their game.
Mhm. Mhm.
We have the Wardens in
Yes.
factions, which are very Sylvari-like before the
Mhm.
idea of Sylvari was probably
Exist.
even being talked about.
Yes.
We have all the plant enemies in starting in Prophecies, right? You've got, like,
Yeah.
your reed stalkers and shit.
Mhm.
And then, like, your underbrushes and factions and your Stormseed jacarandas in Nightfall.
Right.
Plant creatures have always been kind of a fascination of ArenaNet, so
Mhm. Mhm.
I wouldn't be surprised if there was some sort of plant race that they give us, but I don't think it will be explicitly Sylvari.
Right. Yeah.
'Cause that is an ingrained thing for the Guild Wars community at this point. I
Mhm.
think it would be not a good idea to not offer that, right?
Right. Yeah.
People like their salads.
Yes.
And they're leaning they're leaning pretty heavily into, like, their rapidly growing furry fan base by adding the Kodan to the
Yeah.
playable animal race lexicon.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, I just find it very amusing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I would probably play a Kodan. If this game came out today, I'd be rolling a Kodan
Oh,
so
for
fast.
sure. Yeah.
I wanna be a big Kodan with a hammer.
You are into hammers lately.
And one thing ArenaNet does really well, but you see it with people in the char in
Mhm.
Guild Wars 2 all the time is they set up these really natural feeling naming conventions for the races. Like the Char are you're always gonna be named like Grindel Axe Grind or some shit, right?
Sure, right, yeah.
Kodan are always gonna be named like Glacier Sleeps or some shit like that, you know?
Right, right,
I
right.
guarantee you 75% of players are gonna name their Kodan some lore accurate
Oh, yeah.
nonsense.
Oh, yeah, of
It's gonna be
course.
it's gonna
Like,
be great. I am.
you gotta role play, of course. Yeah, you
Yeah,
gotta, like, find the right name.
yeah. No, I will be naming my Kodan Sleeps with the Fishes. It'll be fantastic.
Oh, Lord, yes. Uh-huh.
That's that's mostly what's going on with, that's, like, kinda what we know right now,
Yeah.
kind of the stuff that we can speculate on. Some of the more seasoned lore enthusiasts have a lot deeper dives on this kinda stuff.
Uh-huh.
Some kinda overarching information on the game. It is gonna be on PS5 as well as PC. Um, I find
Yeah.
that interesting.
I find it interesting too. You know, they keep saying put it on your Steam wish list. I can't see ArenaNet not giving us a non-Steam PC
I'm sure they will.
client.
Yeah.
Um and I know that one thing. I mean, they've said they're committed, that they've been doing this without us knowing it. They've been supporting 3 different titles, essentially, for several years now, and that they're committed to doing this for the good long while, for the foreseeable future. Like, that's their commitment to the players, and I'm here for that. But you know what would be really cool? Is I play, a couple of games by another studio, called Hoyoverse.
What do they
And
make?
they give a Hoyoverse makes Genshin Impact and Honkai, the 3rd, and Honkai Star Rail, and, um, Zenless Zone Zero. So what they do is, 'cause they're trying to, like, pattern their games, like, sort of like the Final Fantasy sort of verse, so they make their Hoyoverse. And their games sort of connect, like, lore-wise. They run on parallel tracks, but one of the things that they do that's kinda cool, is because they support all these titles, simultaneously, they have a launcher where you can just install their launcher, and then all of the games are available in that launcher. And I would love it if ArenaNet did that because, it's kind of it would be cool. And it would
Yeah.
be really convenient. As a player, it'd be really convenient to just pull up a launcher and be like, "You know what? Today I wanna play Guild Wars." Click, and there's a button and it's right there, and I don't have to worry about loading up the Guild Wars, 1 launcher, or, choosing the Guild Wars 2 launcher, or, all of the
Yeah.
games are linked out of that one single launcher, so I'd be cool down with that.
Yeah, I think people, because having the non-Steam option is important to a lot of people,
Mhm, yeah.
but having the Steam option is important to even more people.
Oh, sure.
So as long as they do both, players will be happy.
I'm a
What
both and kind of person.
Yeah, people run into getting annoyed when, like, Bethesda took all their shit off Steam and was like, "We're the Bethesda launcher now," right?
Mhm,
People
mhm.
hated that.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
But if they launch the ArenaNet launcher alongside having the game on Steam, I think everyone will be happy.
Yeah.
I'm mainly curious about the whole PS5 angle
Yeah.
because, guys, PCs are really motherfucking expensive,
Yeah, they are.
and,
It's not to say that PS5 isn't,
yeah,
but
um
this idea that Guild Wars 3 is gonna be an action RPG MMO,
mhm,
playable with a controller, and they've been doing more with controller support
mhm.
of late, um, so I'm really interested to see, like, what they've learned,
So
not just from the Reforged, but, what have they learned going that so that they can, put this onto Guild Wars 3.
yeah, I am too, and to kinda link the PS5 angle into kind of what I've been doing lately gaming, over the last few years, I've gotten really into roguelikes, specifically action and card roguelikes.
Mhm.
Like Hades is one of my favorite games ever. I really like Dead Cells, stuff like that, and
Mm.
I really, really like playing a snappy action game on a controller.
Controller. Yeah.
Yes, I play roguelikes on the either my Switch 2 or my Xbox.
Mhm.
And, I love the experience of just picking up a controller and
Yeah.
playing a snappy, well-developed action game.
Uh-huh.
If they could deliver a product that felt good to play with a controller, I would be so all over that,
Uh-huh.
based on 'cause, 5 years ago, I would have scoffed at the idea of ever even buying a game console.
Mhm.
Um, and then, AI hit and, RAM prices went up, and
Right.
GPU prices are still a nightmare, and it's
Yeah.
$2,500 to get a regular gaming PC,
Yeah.
right? Cheaper if you build it yourself, of course,
Sure.
but, some of us are adults with bills to pay, and buying
Yes.
a new gaming PC is not the most feasible thing in the world for a lot of people right now,
Right.
especially with this AI RAM thing going on.
Mhm.
So, I'm really excited to see that because PS5 prices are kinda out of control too, like,
Mhm.
they're like 6 or $700.
Yeah.
If you want the Pro, it's like $900.
Right.
That's still half the price of a gaming PC,
It really
you
is,
know?
yeah.
So, if you've got kinda dated hardware and you're like, "Shit, I'm gonna have to get something new to play Guild Wars 3," PS5 might be a more affordable option than upgrading your PC.
Mhm.
So it's definitely something I'm gonna look at. So,
Mhm.
just something for people who wanna get into the game could think about. Um,
Yeah.
we did kinda touch on this. I think you touched on it a little bit earlier. The fact that it's almost nice that this is a prequel because you and I have not kept up with the Guild Wars 2 story at
I
all.
know. I know,
And
yeah.
and when they announced it was a prequel, I was like, "Oh my god, I can do whatever I want."
I mean, we've been playing through the Guild Wars 1 story, and as they've been releasing more things for, like, Guild Wars Reforged, like the dungeon content, we're like, "We're never gonna get through Eye of the North." And now I'm just like, "Are we ever gonna get to Guild Wars 2?"
Yeah. Yep,
Yeah.
because we're plowing through Eye of the North, slower than we'd like just due to our slowed down production schedule, and
Yeah.
then I still god damn it, I still wanna read those terrible
The
books.
books, yeah, the books and get into Guild Wars 2 again and go through all of that, like, 'cause
And
that was
then
the plan, or that has been our
yeah.
plan, I mean, I think it still is.
It's still our plan for that show for sure. No
Yeah,
matter how long it takes, we'll plug along at it.
yeah, Tyria then will always be a Guild Wars story podcast,
Yes.
and, just tune in, you never know where we might be.
Yes, but, Guild Wars 3 is too exciting to not talk about, so,
Yeah, for
we
sure.
decided to, kinda resurrect this show.
Mhm.
Colin and Josh Davis, and I don't remember his name, but the game director for Guild Wars 1, because they have their own game director,
Yes.
did a video kind of about the future of all 3 games.
Yeah.
Guild Wars 1, it sounds like, is getting some new type of content that they didn't reveal the name of.
No, they have not because their first thing is the release on mobile
Yeah.
devices, which is coming later this month, which is June 2026. I'm kind of excited to try that.
I'll
Um
try it. My phone's a little old,
Mhm,
but so I'll see if I can run it, but we'll see.
mhm,
But if mine can't run it, you can try it on yours and you can tell me all about it.
sure.
Um, Guild Wars 2, I guess, is getting like a new WW map. They're taking a break from
Yeah.
expansions after their current one concludes, and they're going to work on like a Hall of Monuments 2.0 for Guild Wars 2 to Guild Wars 3.
Yeah, they're gonna do some like it sounds like they're doing some, like, systems polishing as well,
Mhm.
and they're going to redo the Zaitan fight.
That's sorely needed. You know what's crazy?
Yeah.
I thought they'd already done that at
I
some
know.
point.
I remember that they, like, tweaked it at some point to just but it was still like it's like, "Nah, bro, this is still the Zaitan fight, it just looks a little shinier."
Gotcha.
But yeah,
Yeah. No, like a full rework to, like, put the Zaitan fight on the scale of,
of the others,
like,
yeah.
fighting Kralkatorrik in season 4, right?
Mhm,
Like, that'd be
mhm.
crazy.
Yeah.
So if they could pull off something like that, that's something I would log back I would reinstall Guild Wars 2 to play
Mhm.
a modernized Zaitan fight.
Heck
So,
yeah. Yeah.
they
Yeah, I'm
might
looking
they
forward to
might
see it.
yeah, I might reinstall Guild Wars 2 and tool around with some of the newer stuff they're
Well,
doing.
it's funny because, everything right now is on sale,
Mhm.
for them, and I went and picked up the 2 expansions that I was missing. Mind you, I still haven't gotten through, um, End of Dragons because I think at with End of Dragons, which was I was so excited about the Canthan expansion, and then I played through the first story step, and I was like, Okay, I'm gonna log out again.
You're
And
like, "Oh, this feels like everything else they've released for Guild Wars 2 since
I
Path of
yeah,
Fire."
I just didn't I don't know, I played through that first story step and I was like, I was expecting it's very pretty, and I was just like, "I'm more interested in this other game right now." So I put it away, and, I've been stuck there, for many, many years now, and I've occasionally logged back in, to play different content. I ran around on one of the betas for Visions of Eternity, um, because one of my guildies, like, she was like, "Come on, come and play, this is fun. I'll show you my homestead from Jan Third Wilds," and I was like, "Oh, this is kinda cool." So I did finally pick up the last 2 expansions, and, I figured I was like, "Well, if anything, I have them now for when we get to these stories with Tyria then."
Yeah, it's watching that video, what I found so interesting was and I don't necessarily care about how ArenaNet structures their development cycles or their teams or anything,
Okay.
but I do find it interesting how much they talked about having learned from their past, like, missteps
Oh my gosh,
in
yeah.
their, like, how they structure their workflow,
Yeah.
and how highly they value that now.
Mhm.
Basically, they've learned a lot from trying to juggle,
Yeah.
multiple games,
Right.
and it sounds like they've got a good system in place to be able to push development on all 3 of these.
Yeah,
It's a good time to be a Guild Wars fan,
it sure is.
'cause
I'm excited.
yeah.
I don't think I've been this excited about the Guild Wars franchise, and so, it's been a while.
Yeah, no, it's been a minute, for me because 'cause I've kinda did the same as you. I did play through End of Dragons a few times.
Mhm.
I have no idea what happens in that story, but,
Can't the something.
yeah,
Mm,
exactly. When we get there in Tyria, then I'll, like, pay better attention, I
sure.
promise.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know if I can do that. There's a mission in there where you have to go through a mansion, and the whole mansion is, like, solving puzzles, and I don't know if I can do that again, Miko.
I play Genshin Impact. There's, like, puzzles everywhere, and so, I'm kinda used to puzzle solving now, so hopefully it'll be alright.
Speaking of Genshin Impact, how do you think they're gonna monetize this thing?
Um, I don't know, but it sounded like well, Colin specifically said that they were not planning on doing, like, a battle pass,
Mhm.
and I'm like, "Please give us something that's different than the gem store."
Yeah,
Otherwise, Aaron might be mad.
I actually like a battle pass system.
Yeah, so do I. I'm used to it right now.
Yeah, I was like, you do have to pay for it, but it gives you things you can play the game to earn, and that I value that so much more than just like, "Here's 800 gems, give me pretty boots."
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
I don't wanna spend 800 gems on pretty boots, I wanna go do a thing that earns me pretty boots in the game.
Yeah.
I'm a very, very rewards motivated player in
Mhm.
MMOs. I like
Yeah.
going out and finding treasure. I like,
Yes.
um grinding towards a cool item or something like
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
That is something that I value very highly in MMOs. So when they just stick stuff on the store, and say, It's just skins though," that's always rubbed me the wrong way. I used to be a lot more, like, vitriolic about it.
Yes.
Now I'm kind of just like, "Okay, that's how free-to-play games work, whatever."
Right, right.
I just log in and play them and do what I can and kind of just ignore the store at this point.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, my dream for it would be a sub-fee MMO with no store at all.
Well, I
They're
think
not going to do
they're not
that.
gonna do that because it's ArenaNet,
Yeah,
and they said it explicitly, it's not gonna be a subscription based because that's not how they do any of their games. So I'm here for no sub because I wanna be able to play whenever I want. And if I want to pay for, say, the premium track on the battle pass, then that's my option. So long
yeah.
as I can work towards earning rewards, like, even on the free track, I'm cool.
I'm like, do you have you seen Game of Thrones, Miko?
I've seen parts of it, yes.
Are you familiar with Hodor, Hold the Door?
No.
I'm like Hodoring the sub-fee diatribe that's trying to burst forth from me.
I get it, like, I get, like, subscriptions help feed the development of a game, I get it. And I've heard from other players, who walked away from Guild Wars 2, like, "I really want it to be subscription based. I wanna be able
Okay.
to support it with my dollars and not just go into the gem store." And I get
It's
that.
yeah, it's a thing that I'm like, well, ethically, a sub fee is actually, I think, the fairest way to do monetization for an MMO.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it does not generally make enough money. The only game that has been able to do a sub fee with no additional cash shop is RuneScape,
Mhm.
and that is because RuneScape is absurdly cheap to develop. So they can make it with a pretty small team,
Right.
and subside entirely on subscriptions. They
Mm.
also have RuneScape 3, which is like a gacha game at this point.
Right.
So WoW and XIV both have a sub fee and a
Yes.
cash shop, which I think is evil. Uh,
Mm.
that will just leave it there. And
Right.
then you have the ArenaNet free to play model, and then you have like the Genshin Impact gotcha game
Gotcha
model,
model, yeah.
and then you have, like, the utterly accursed mobile game model, right? Those are, like, the tiers of hell of monetization. Can you
Right.
guys tell that I don't like online game monetization?
All you gotta do,
Uh,
guys, if you wanna hear real vitriol is pull up old Tyria. Pick any Tyria now, old episode, and Aaron will be ranting about the gem store.
we used to have a segment on the show that was just like, "So, Aaron, what do you think of the gem store this week?" Oh, man.
Oh, man, good times.
Yeah,
Anyways,
I
we've
do as
we've
much
grown
as
since those days.
we have, yes, mainly me. As long as, like, I just won't look at the store and it's fine, right? Like,
Yeah.
I play Apex Legends a lot. That's, like,
Mhm.
my shoot 'em game that I
Mhm.
play,
Yeah.
and the store in that is egregious, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I just don't open it, and it's mostly
And
fine.
you're fine. Yeah.
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 So imagine being a grown up, guys. Um
Yeah, no, I do wonder, like, what are they gonna do then?
Mhm.
Because they're gonna have to other than, selling copies of the game, um, if they're gonna essentially make everything free to play, um, what are
I
you
think
gonna
do you think
either
it'll be free to play or box price?
box price, that's what I meant, sorry.
Okay. Yeah,
And
that seems to be their way to net way.
they might do, like, a free to play, like, trial thing like they have for Guild Wars 2.
Oh, I bet they will. Yeah, because that was
Mhm.
super successful for bringing in
Yeah,
new players in
yeah,
Guild Wars 2.
yeah.
That totally checks out. Um,
But yeah, I do wonder what they're gonna do, because, I'm sure they've heard all of the feedback, that and, negative, not just rants, but, like, just negative opinions about, um, the gem store model, but so I'm hoping that they don't just plug in another gem store 'cause I think they can do something more interesting. They keep talking about how this is gonna be, like, the next evolution of MMOs, like, that's their big shtick right now, their marketing tagline. So I'm like, "Alright, well, other than the gameplay, and what you're doing, like, you're setting this in a high fantasy world, that's good. What are you doing for the monetization aspect that's just gonna be, like, different?"
I do think it's funny that, they are selling it on that, like, this is the next big thing in MMOs because that's the
Yeah.
most ArenaNet ass way to
Oh my god, it's
market
like
your MMO.
that's what they've done since, like, Guild Wars 1, right?
It's classic ArenaNet,
It
yeah.
really is, it's great.
"Hey, guys, we're reinventing the wheel. We're gonna make a fantasy MMORPG."
Yeah. Yeah. We are
Yeah,
arena.
we certainly don't have any of those, do we?
No. No, not
No,
the arena net way. It's fine.
that's in jest for the most part. I do think this game is probably going to bring a lot of new things to the table.
Mhm.
Um, I think that it's going to be because ArenaNet really likes to put a spin on things.
Yeah.
And I think the emphasis on movement and action combat is gonna be what sets this apart
Mhm.
from games like World of Warcraft or XIV that are a little more static. Uh,
Yeah.
Guild Wars 2 already does set itself apart in that regard, right? Its combat's
Agreed.
way more actiony
Yes.
than the other games on the market,
Yeah.
even now, and it came out 14 years ago. Um,
Mhm.
so
Wow, wild.
yeah, exactly. So it's definitely, my hopes are high, but I
Yeah.
do think it's funny that ArenaNet is always marketing themselves as, like, this revolution in gaming when their
Yeah.
products are closer to feasible versions of what is or very good versions of what is feasible,
Mhm.
um, which is fine. I love a good version of a realistic thing. That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
So, Miko, they haven't announced any classes for this goddamn game.
No. No professions mentioned. It's all just a mystery right now.
That's good.
Um,
It'll generate some buzz and
yeah, and
speculation.
I mean, and this is still, like, not even a week out from the teaser reveal announcement. So they've still got time. I mean, they've still got time to, like, let us know. The hype train has just begun, friends.
Oh, yeah. This is a Colin Johansson affair, guys.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, I'm here for calling them the smile. I think you know what it is? I think I haven't been this excited since, like, Heart of Thorns when it was all Colin hype train and, I was here for that.
Dude, so in these videos, not to comment on someone's appearance, but Colin has not aged a day.
No, he's still looking great. Good
It's,
for him.
I'm really jealous because, I have a lot more gray in my hair and in my beard than I did when I
Get out of
started
here.
playing these
Not
games.
not you, Aaron.
Yes, me. Colin, I don't know what genes that man has, but that
Co
man is
Colin
look
Colin's so handsome, right? That's what we call him.
and it's ringing more true than ever, let me just say
Yeah.
that. But, yeah, do you think they're going to do classes, or do you think this is going to be a classless affair?
I would really be interested to see if this is before the proliferation of magic, I don't know that we're gonna get classes.
Mhm.
I think
Yeah,
that, I think if they do, like, some nature spirit stuff, or even just, like, even ritualist kinda spirit stuff, but something with the spirits, to tap into the land, like, I don't know that we're gonna get classes, and spell work in this way that we are used to.
in the way that we currently understand it, sure.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, and maybe part of the gameplay will be around what skills you can pick up by what maybe you've gotta, like, prove yourself to whatever faction over here is controlling this kind of magic in order to get a skill from
Wait, you
them.
you mean I'm not gonna go talk to Havers Dan and get Mighty Blow or
Right,
whatever the
exactly.
whatever the fuck we were doing in pre-searing?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
I've got the wiki page on the Bloodstones pulled up, and,
Yes.
this is pre-Bloodstones,
Right.
and it looks like the 4, schools of magic, which apparently are aggression, destruction, preservation, and denial. I just learned that today.
Oh,
Apparently
okay.
those are tied to the whole Bloodstone deal.
Okay.
So if those don't happen until A, Abaddon gives away magic, and B, it gets sealed away in the Bloodstone, then I am inclined to agree with you. I think this might be a classless MMO,
Mhm.
which I think is a great idea. They've
Yeah.
done classes in both their previous games. If they really wanna throw us for a loop, I suggest they come up with a classless system, maybe a skill tree system instead,
Mhm.
kinda like
Mhm.
a Path of Exile type of deal, but
Uh-huh.
Path of Exile does have classes, but
Right.
they've got a huge skill tree, and you can do a skill tree system with no classes.
Mhm.
Um, Maybe RuneScape style, right? Where you can just train everything and it all goes into like an aggregate level for your
Mhm.
character.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know how much you know about RuneScape, but I quite like RuneScape. Um, I think it's a very unique formula of game that not a lot of other games are doing. I'd be really curious to see ArenaNet spin on a classless MMO.
Yeah.
Because if ArenaNet is good at one thing, it's ideas.
Yes.
They are fantastic at ideas, not always at implementation,
Right,
but
right.
good lord, did those
They love
motherfuckers
to
have
iterate.
ideas.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I'm super curious about what they come up with.
Yeah.
What are you if you have an answer to this question, what would you most like to see improved from Guild Wars 2 to Guild Wars 3?
Ooh, that's a good question, Aaron. Um, other than no gemstone?
I
Um,
was gonna, I was gonna not say that one, just
yeah.
because 'cause I've already gone on my diatribe, but you know what my real answer is.
Yeah. Um, I think if, guild I hate to do this, but if we're gonna be fighting things, like, and we're not using spells or magic, So things like Defiance bars are not gonna maybe be a thing.
Well, so
Something that yeah.
we're gonna have magic because 'cause we're gonna be a Veil Warden, so we're gonna have access the player characters will have magic.
Yeah, but how much magic?
That's the
And
question.
that's the thing, like, everything that they've shown has been very movement. I really wanna make sure or I would really love to see that the freedom of movement that we got in Guild Wars 2, we still have, um, so that you can feel like you're moving around and you can dodge out of things and not just you're static, um, if that makes sense. Or you know, you can step out of things in Guild Wars 1, but the
I
idea
think
of
it's yeah, I
dodging and just being a little bit more mobile and more fluid, that fluidity of combat style still really appeals to me
Mhm,
in Guild Wars 2. And I've the closest the closest that I kinda got to it was in XIV, and
mhm.
I still think Guild Wars 2 did it better does it better.
I don't think any MMO has even come close to the level of how good it feels to play the game
It really
as Guild
yeah.
Wars 2.
Mhm.
I think the closest we had was WildStar felt pretty good when that
Yeah.
came out,
Mhm.
but it still kinda didn't hold a candle to the fluidity
No.
of Guild Wars 2, like you said.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the criticism of Guild Wars 2 that the combat is too, quote, "floaty"?
Floaty?
Yeah, have you ever heard people say that?
No, I've heard it very, very shiny.
I've
And
heard a lot of people comment that the, combat does not have enough, like, chunky impact, and that
oh,
everything feels very floaty.
yeah, okay, I see what you mean. Yeah, um, I mean, I think that's probably fair.
Mhm,
Um, yeah, it's a fair criticism. I don't know. I mean, it feels good, like, to see big numbers. It feels good to, like, feel like you're making an impact and a dent
mhm.
in the any enemies that you're fighting, but I think that same criticism can be thrown out any game.
Sure.
Especially if especially if you're playing a gotcha game and you don't have, like, the really like, the latest, most powerful, um, power creeped character. Um, so that idea of, just being able to make an impact and feel like you're actually making an impact.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would like that.
Yeah, crunchy, impactful, like, combat is all about a careful balance of, like, sound design and animation.
No, and I
It
think that's one thing that Arena does really well is
they
sound design
do.
and animation.
It's harder to do in an MMO,
Mhm.
because you're going to have multiple effects going off at the same time, sometimes
Yeah.
hundreds, sometimes even thousands,
Mhm.
um, and you have to, make sure that that doesn't just completely melt somebody's CPU.
Yes.
It's also just the fact that you are on a server that's communicating with many different people at the same time, so
Mhm.
you can't have the same freedom of world impact as you could in a single player game.
Right.
So yeah, like games like The Witcher 3 are going to
Mhm.
just feel chunkier than an MMORPG, right?
Right.
For that reason. That being said, I do hope they can bring a more um, chunky, more impactful edge to the combat in
Mhm.
this upcoming one.
Yeah.
But the biggest improvement I think I would want to see from one game to the next has got to be in the personal story department. Um, the personal story in at least vanilla Guild Wars 2 is just really bad.
Well,
Uh,
and that's if they even go the route of personal story.
whatever they pick for the driving narrative of the game.
Yeah, the
Uh,
main story.
yeah, and they obviously have learned a lot since early
Oh,
Guild Wars
yeah.
2 because
Mhm.
the production value of their current expansions and Living World and stuff has been really consistently good.
Mhm.
Um, I would just like to see a little bit of a step up in the urgency of the narrative.
Mhm.
I would like to see them scale back the, like, Marvel style of, like, character banter and, um, character interaction, and
Mhm.
maybe develop a little bit more of their own feel, I guess,
Mhm.
their
Mhm.
own vibe for how
Yeah,
they create characters and have them interact. I'd
yeah,
like a more unique feeling experience than just like, "Oh, we are trying to make, Guardians of the Galaxy with swords and shields," right?
right, right,
Not and everybody might not feel that way. That's definitely how the story and cast of characters felt for me in the later Living World and expansions. Um, so I would like to take them to take a more grounded approach with the story, maybe have a little edge to it. I know it's probably gonna be a T-rated game and not an M-rated game, but I
mhm.
would still like the story to be more grounded, a little more edgy, and a little more dire and urgent, less world-endy and more character-driven.
And I get the sense that because they're setting this, 1,200 years prior to the start of Guild Wars, they're not giving us, like, this is before all of the big conflicts. This
Mhm,
is before, like, the first Guild War. This is before, so the big wars that will come later in the world of Tyria, um, those aren't here. Everything is like, this is sort of like the Idyll, right? Idyll, time, idyllic time in Tyrian history. And what are those conflicts? They're gonna be more personal, is what I'm thinking. And because of the whole commodification of magic, it's gonna feel a little bit more. I have a feeling it's gonna feel more that you're gonna get that sense of urgency,
mhm.
um, because things are more personal, or I think they'll be more personal.
They might be like a smaller scale, right?
Yeah, like,
The
things are like, the world is a lot smaller.
And the world has not been, to use an MMO term, the world has not been power crept so
Right.
much.
Yeah.
And like the elder dragons are slumbering, right? The
Mhm.
gods exist in physical form. Like, who's gonna fuck with them? You know, like
Right.
what enemies could possibly attempt such a thing? But I'm sure I can't think of them off the top of my head, but I'm sure there's eldritch entities that could, give them a run for their money laying
You
around,
just wanted to use
right?
the word eldritch in a sentence.
Anytime I can use the word eldritch, I'm gonna bust it out.
Yeah.
Um,
And the thing that I would like, um, we've seen between Guild Wars 1 and 2, you had, like, the more traditional, quest log, um, based game in Guild Wars 1, and then they went to, like, they tried to do, or they still try to do, like, this whole living world, dynamic events, which, you're filling a heart, and you're learning a little bit of lore of, like, that little area. That idea of, like, what is that neighborhood like? That I felt like it was good in concept, maybe not so much in execution all the time. So, but if they could find a way to tell those stories in a more organic way than is more, you're not just filling a bar.
Yeah, and I know exactly what you're saying, and that I
I
detest
know you detest the
renowned
hoods.
hearts, yeah.
Yes.
And I see exactly what you're saying. I want those stories told in an engaging way,
Right.
in
And
a
I
way that makes me excited to learn about the world through this medium. I'm
and I
not a game developer, so I don't know what the answer is,
Yeah.
but it ain't filling up a heart.
Right, and I know that the narrative team, they've got some talent there.
Oh, for sure.
I know that they can write really good story. I just hope that the production schedule allows them to tell the stories in a really compelling way so that things don't get cut.
Oh, yeah. No, there's for all the, like, derision is a strong word, but I
Mhm,
dislike the vanilla Guild Wars 2 personal story, right? I
mhm,
didn't really care for season 1 of Living World, but
mhm.
I think season 2 is pretty cool. I
Yeah,
think the Heart of Thorns story is pretty cool.
yeah.
I like season 3 of Living World. There
Mhm.
were missteps in season 3 that I raged about, but
Yes.
overall, I had a fun time with it, right?
Mhm, mhm.
Season 4 of Living World is probably my favorite Guild Wars 2 era ever.
Right.
Really liked season 4. So,
Mhm.
no, the ArenaNet writers can totally cook, and they
Yeah,
do sometimes,
yeah,
but what mainly kind of disconnected me from the story was the marvelization of it, I guess.
yeah.
And, they were still doing some interesting things when I left the story, though. They were having a big focus on, like, Ritlock and his relationship with his son. I thought
Yeah,
that was interesting.
yeah.
They had, Taimi and Blish and Gorick, uh,
Mhm.
and I thought, Blish's character arc was actually really good.
Yeah.
They had Kaith's relationship developing with Aurene, which was interesting.
Uh-huh.
So they've always been doing something that I liked. They just ended up going in more directions I didn't like than ones I did like,
Right.
which is ultimately what led to my disconnect with the game. But
Yeah.
no, when they cook, they fucking cook.
Yeah.
Like Nightfall rips, right? We
Yeah.
just played through Nightfall and it's awesome. My
Yeah.
second playthrough of Factions, well, not second, but my recent playthrough of Factions for the show, like I liked it quite a bit more than I remembered.
Uh-huh.
They do really, really good with world building
They
in
really
Cantha
do.
in particular.
Yeah.
So no, the ArenaNet writing team has a lot going for it, and I have high hopes for Guild Wars 3.
And one of the things you talk about world building and how in Guild Wars 1, all of those things were you'd have to read. Like, if you wanted, like, random NPC interactions, you'd have to read it. The thing in Guild Wars 2, which makes the world feel so alive, is just the random comments that you hear, like,
Yeah.
characters saying to each other, um, conversations that they're having with one another. Um, Not just, like, the random lines of that you'll hear in one of the cities, but, um, out in the towns, in the different maps.
There's some really good ambient dialogue in Guild
There
Wars 2.
really is, and it makes the world feel more alive.
Yeah,
And if they could find a way to bring that kind of vibe and just make the world feel alive, make Aura feel alive, and also just make us feel like we're gonna have an impact here, by joining this Veil Wardens Guild.
I
Um
really especially after seeing the ending kind of horizon of the trailer, I really want Ore to just be, like, fucking weird.
Yeah.
I really want it to be like Alien.
And you know what? And this might sound strange, like, I don't want my player character to just automatically be part of the Veil Wardens. Like, I know that they say it in, like, the marketing stuff that they put out, "You're gonna be a part of the Veil Wardens Guild." Okay, but am I gonna earn my way in?
Yeah. I
That would be
think
cool if I
you're
could.
Yeah, I think we are going to start out in the Veil Wardens. That is a common RPG
Mhm.
trope to start
Yeah,
as, like, "You are a new recruit with the Veil Wardens."
right.
And then they throw it into character creation, right? So I do think that's how it's gonna go.
Yeah,
But I bet you part of the, like, beginner story is going to be doing missions to work yourself up through the ranks.
yeah,
That being
that
said,
makes
I'm
sense.
thinking about that in a traditional RPG complex and or context rather,
Mhm,
and you
mhm.
never know how ArenaNet's gonna reinvent the wheel, so
Right. Yeah, because the commander didn't just become the commander in
yeah.
Guild Wars 2.
And you know what? That was a because the whole way the vanilla story in Guild Wars 2 goes, I don't like it, but you do become the commander,
Mhm.
and they of all the things they kind of change around and shift focus on, you having this title of the commander becomes a pretty cool, like, consistent thing throughout
Yeah,
the and by the time you hit, like, the Living World Season 4 and Icebird Saga period,
yeah,
you're like a fucking rock star, like,
yeah,
as the you're like the coolest dude that ever cooled, and that was
right.
actually something I really enjoyed about, the ongoing story of Guild Wars 2 was that your character gets more and more gets recognized as
Yes.
more and more awesome,
Mhm.
every season, every expansion.
Yeah,
That feels really rewarding for the
it
player
does.
character.
It
Like,
does.
when you would be part of the story missions and you're like the main character, when you in the later seasons, like Icefruit Saga, when you would talk to people, they'd be like, "Oh shit, the commander said so. We gotta
Right.
like, we gotta get our asses in gear." You
Yeah,
know? You were the fucking man, and
yeah,
it was really cool.
yeah.
And that's something that MMO stories have always struggled with is making you feel like the fucking man.
Mhm.
So that's something that I actually think Arena pulled off really well with the
Yeah, and I
commander.
think if they can find a way to do that again, for the player character in Guild Wars 3, I think that they will hit a nice sweet spot.
Yep, totally. I don't have anything else more to say about Guild Wars 3 right now. How about you?
No, I'm just excited.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty awesome. Oh, one thing we didn't touch on actually. This is 1450 before Guild Wars 2, 1200 before Guild Wars 1.
Yeah.
There's no guns in this game.
Nope.
Alright, just throwing that out there. Alright,
Yeah,
guys,
yeah.
that's gonna be our show, our, rebooted premiere episode of Tyria Now. We're basically gonna do this anytime we feel like there's been enough news to do an episode.
Mhm.
So, there's not necessarily a set schedule for this show, um, but as they trickle out news for Guild Wars 3, and for as new stuff pops up for Guild Wars 1 as well,
Yeah.
we'll probably do episodes. We might, mention what's going on with Guild Wars 2 here and there, but we're primarily probably gonna be talking about Guild Wars 1 and 3 on here because that's our primary interest.
Yeah, right now. Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing where the hype train's going.
You gonna
And
play this beta next year?
hell yeah, of course I am.
Yeah.
I played the beta for Guild Wars 2, and I think I've played every Guild Wars 2 beta that's probably been available or that I've found out about. Um, so yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, I was toying around with the idea of, saving myself for marriage, AKA installing Guild Wars 3, but no, I'll probably play the beta, so,
Right.
whenever that happens next year, we'll probably be podcasting more than normal, when we've
Yeah,
actually got our hands on this game, so
yeah.
we will, keep you guys appraised with episodes as news continues to come out, and until next time, Miko, where can people find you online?
You can find me at Inky Sticks, on Twitter, Blue Sky, things like that.
All right. So you guys know the drill. Follow us at Tyrion Now here on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, here on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, if you're listening through there. Then we're also on Twitter and Blue Sky at Tyrion Now. And guys, if you got any lore corrections, additional information you feel that we need, anything like that,
Or your own speculations,
own
what you're excited
speculations,
about.
theories, if you wanna argue with me about game monetization, throw that in the comments
Yeah.
or tweet or Blue Sky at us. What do you call it on Blue Sky when you, like, talk to someone?
I don't know.
Blue Sky at us, guys. We will see everybody on the next one, and then tune into Tyria then too if you're curious about what we think of Guild Wars 1.
Yep.
Alright,
See you
guys,
guys.
later.
Bye.